In this lecture, we are going to talk about what is a cell and what is inside a cell, what makes up a cell. A cell is the smallest part of your body that carries out the activities of life. Cells are the basic building blocks that make up all living things. The tiniest organisms are only single cells. Multicellular organisms, on the other hand, have many cells, maybe trillions. Multicellular organisms are us, for example. Most cells are too tiny to be seen by the eye alone. You need a magnifying glass or a microscope. A single drop of blood would hold millions of red blood cells, and you definitely need a microscope to see them. Here's a chart on cell functions. All 5 of these things listed here are functions of cells. Cells in most living things have the same needs of survival as you do. Cells must take in food and get rid of wastes. Cells use materials in food to grow and repair wounds. While very few cells move around, all cells have parts that move inside them. Cells sense and respond to changes in their surroundings. They often communicate and cooperate with other cells. All cells need energy. Most cells get energy through a process called cellular respiration. Cellular respiration is the taking in of oxygen and food, such as sugar, in order to get energy. In this process of cellular respiration, carbon dioxide and water are made. Different cells need different amounts of energy for all the things that they do to stay alive, including growing, moving, and dividing to make new cells. Here are 2 pictures. On the top is a picture of an animal cell. Parts of an animal cell include the nucleus, cytoplasm, cell membrane, mitochondria, and a vacuole. On the bottom is a picture of a plant cell. You notice that a plant cell has the same parts as an animal cell that include cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus, and mitochondria, but it also includes chloroplasts and cell walls, which are written in green on your screen. The chloroplasts and cell walls, again, are only included in plant cells. Here we're going to get into the details of cell parts. A cell membrane, I like to think of it as a gate, okay? A cell membrane surrounds the cell, holding in the parts of the cell together. It allows needed materials, such as sugar, water, and oxygen, to go into or enter the cell. It allows materials such as carbon dioxide and other waste products to leave the cell or exit. That's why a good analogy for a cell membrane is a gate, which allows things in and out. The nucleus, the boss of the cell, the person in charge, the brain. The nucleus is the part of the cell that also contains the chromosomes. Chromosomes are made of materials including a chemical called DNA, or deoxyribonucleic acid. DNA is a chemical shaped like a twisted ladder. Chromosomes carry the instructions for the cell. So there's where your boss comes in. It carries all the instructions. By telling every cell how to do its job, chromosomes control how the body grows and changes. Cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is all of the material of the cell between the cell membrane and the nucleus. It kind of fills in the cell. I like to think of it as jello because it kind of fills in the cell and it's jelly-like. The mitochondria are the cell's power producers. I like to think of them as the mighty mitochondria. Mitochondria combine oxygen and food to produce energy in the process of cellular respiration. So mighty mitochondria are the powerhouses of the cell. Next is a vacuole. A vacuole sometimes can act like a suitcase because it stores and breaks down material. In plant cells, it stores a lot of water, or H2O. It also stores other materials in animal cells. Cell wall, written in green on your screen, is only in plant cells. The cell wall surrounds the cell membrane. The cell wall is stiff and rigid like a brick wall, unlike the thin cell membrane. Cell walls give plant cells extra support and protection. Chloroplasts. also written in green, meaning it is only in the plant cell. They use the energy in sunlight to turn water and carbon dioxide into oxygen and sugar. Plant cells use oxygen and sugar for respiration. Chloroplasts also give plants their green color. Here's a magnified picture of an onion skin cell. You can notice all of these lines are very rigid. That's the cell wall. Here is another magnified picture of a plant or a leaf, and you can see the greenish tinge. Those are the chloroplasts, giving the plant the green color. Here is a picture of a real cell membrane, magnified so much that we can see it. So here it kind of looks like a river flowing. That's the cell membrane. Another magnified picture, this is of human cheek cells. You notice the circle in the middle of the cell, that's the nucleus or the brain. This is a magnified picture of a eukaryotic plant cell. So you see the chloroplasts, the vacuole that stores all the water, the nucleus is the brain, and the cell wall surrounding the cell. Here's a little clip of a video.
Because each of the 5 basic life functions depends on the activities of cells, it is very useful to examine the main parts of a cell and learn what they do. When we look at a cell under a microscope, the first thing we notice is a large rounded structure called the nucleus. The nucleus can be thought of as the control center of the cell, because it is from here that a complex chemical substance called DNA sends out commands that control the activities of the cell. The material that lies outside of the nucleus and that makes up most of the rest of the cell is called the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is wrapped in a thin layer called the cell membrane. The cell membrane performs an important role in the life of a cell because it controls how nutrients and water enter the cell and how waste and cell products exit the cell. In plants and bacteria, a thick outer layer called the cell wall lies just beyond the cell membrane. Inside of a cell, messages from the nucleus are sent to tiny structures in the cytoplasm called organelles. There are several different kinds of organelles, and each type has its own particular job to do within the cell. This one, for example, is called a mitochondrion. These organelles act as the powerhouses of the cell, because they allow stored energy to be released whenever messages from the nucleus tell them to. This kind of organelle, known as a Golgi apparatus, goes to work when it receives orders that cell products need to be packaged for shipment outside and inside of the cell. And this type of organelle, called a chloroplast, found in plant cells and the cells of plant-like protists, can capture and store the energy of sunlight.
We will be reviewing in class. Please watch this video more than once so you can add in any notes that will help you remember things about what a cell is and all of the parts of the cell.